Good morning, everyone. This is Lisa with Old Orchid Yarnery. I'm back for our next installment of our Building in Color class. Oh, little reflection of the light there. We've been having a lot of fun learning different color work techniques every month and making these panels that we will then put together into a blanket. So the panel this month is called the Elongated stitch, and it produces this really kind of interesting 3D effect. It uses all three of your colors if you're using three. It is charted with this little chart right here, which is very easy to follow, but the written instructions are here as well. As I usually show you, I wrote down on my paper here what my A, B, and C yarns are to remind me, so that when I come across A, B, or C in the pattern here or in the chart, I don't have to stop and try to figure out what color it is. And I also have my super high-tech method of keeping track of which row I'm on. It's a 6-row repeat, not difficult at all. Kind of fun to do. I really am enjoying it, and it's going pretty quickly. And I think you'll find that this one grows a little quicker than last month's panel. That one seemed to take a little bit of time to get any length on. So I think you'll enjoy that. I'll show you a few techniques as I work through mine. So let me get set up and ready to go here. Move my pattern out of the way. Here's the one I've already started on. You can see it produces this grid effect. And what we've got is my cream color. You're knitting both sides with it, so it's making this garter ridge in between the motifs, and you're slipping stitches, which makes these elongated stitches, which is what the pattern is called, elongated stitches. But then when you're using color B, which is pink for me, at one point you're slipping one of those stitches as well. Do you see that right next to the cream color? There's a pink slip stitch that's longer than normal. And what that does is it makes my color C, which is yellow here, really recede to the background and gives it more of a 3D effect. So I'm all done 3 repeats so far, and I'm ready to start a 3rd repeat, so I will work that together with you. The first thing you're going to do is with your color A, you're going to cast on 35 stitches. And before I get started, I did want to mention at the top of each of these patterns, every month, you'll see right under the instructions, it says a multiple of X number of stitches, and that's really helpful. Like this one, for instance, it's on page 27 in your book, and it says a multiple of 4 stitches plus 3. So in our case, it's telling us to cast on 35 stitches, and that's for our size of panel we want to make. But if you really enjoy this pattern and you want to put it on something else or use it in a different way, just know that you just need to cast on a multiple of 4 stitches plus 3. So what that means is you go ahead and multiply 4 times, say 4 times 4, 16, and then you add 3 to that. So you would cast on 19 stitches. Or 4 times 10 would be 40, and then you'd add on 3, so you'd cast on 43 stitches. So that's what that means. But you'll find that in all of the patterns, so if you really like this technique on one of the color work techniques, you can use it in something else. All right, so as I have been before, I'm managing my yarn in my snap bag with each color coming out in between the snaps. Although I will admit that when you're using all 3 colors, it's a little difficult, or should I say challenging, to keep them untangled. But I'm doing my best. I'm finding that I'm stopping after every couple of repeats and untangling them manually because I'm not doing something right, apparently. All right, so row 1, it's the right side of the work. So you've cast on 35 stitches, and then you're going to continue with color A, and you're just going to knit. So that's the row I'm on right now, is with color A, which is my cream color. I'm just going to knit. Now, as I usually mention all the time, I'm a continental style knitter, meaning I tension my yarn in my left hand. If you're an English style knitter and you tension the yarn in your right hand, it's going to be the same way. I will demonstrate both ways when we get to a couple of the techniques here. But row 1 is just knitting. So whichever way you knit, just knit across the row, all 35 stitches with your color A. I'm curious to know how many of you have kept up with all the panels. I'm afraid I've gotten a little behind. I have a couple of them not completed. I'm hoping to do that maybe during February when we do our Finish It February. I'll get those finished. Especially around the holidays. I got a little busy doing some other things and I just did not get them done. Plus that last panel really grew very slowly. As I heard from many of you, it was not just me. It felt like, am I getting anywhere? All right, so I'm almost to the end of row 1, and I'm just knitting. And when you're knitting your very first row, of course, you're just knitting across your cast on stitches. So you won't have any additional colors or anything here, like I'm showing you in this work, because I'm already through a couple of repeats. All right, so there's the end of row 1. Now, if you're using the written instructions, Then row 2, you're just going to turn, and it starts telling you to use color A. We're using all 3 colors, and essentially you're working up and back with one color and then dropping it, and up and back with the next color and dropping it, and up and back with the 3rd color and dropping it. Because of that, I'm just carrying my colors up the side here. It's only going up a short distance, and it's not going to cause any trouble. I'm just being careful of the tension when I do carry it up. All right, so I'm going to turn. Now, if you're using the chart, if you'll look at row 2 in the chart, the first stitch has a big black dot in it. And the key to the chart tells you that on the wrong side, that means you're knitting. So all we're going to do is we're going to continue knitting with color A, this creating this garter stitch bump between the motifs. So we're going to knit, but the first stitch we're going to knit, and the second one, it says we're going to knit 1, wrapping the yarn twice around the needle. So that just means you're going to put your needle in the work, you're going to wrap 2 times around, and then go ahead and come through. Now what that's done is it's created this extra stitch. Not really a stitch, it's just an extra wrap on the needle. But don't worry about that. We're going to treat that as 1 stitch when we get back. So now we're going to knit 3, and this is our repeat now. Knit 3, and then knit 1, wrapping twice around the needle. I'll do a couple more continental, and I'll show you that English style. Knit 3, and then knit, wrapping twice around the needle, and pull through. All right, so I'll switch to English right now. So now we're going to knit 3, 1, 2, and 3, and now we're going to knit 1, wrapping twice around the needle. So all that means is simply go like that, wrap 2 times around. Instead of just wrapping the 1 time like a normal knit stitch and pulling through, you're wrapping twice. Knitting 3, and now knit 1, wrapping twice around the needle, and knit 3, and knit 1, wrapping twice around the needle. And on the chart, that's that funny little loop-de-loo symbol, and it tells you in the key down there that it means to knit 1, wrapping twice around the needle. All right, so we're knitting 3. Now, if you get interrupted in the middle and you're not sure if you're on the knit 3 or the wrapping twice, you can always look back, and you see this little double right here. That's my wrapping twice around the needle. There's my wrapping twice around the needle. They are bunched together, so they're easy to see with 3 knits in between. So there's my wrap twice, knit 3, so I know I'm on wrap twice. Knit 3. And this is row 2. So at the very end, we're going to keep going until we have 1 stitch left, and then we're just going to knit that one. We'll wrap twice around the needle. And once you get going, I think you almost won't even have to refer to the directions very much for this panel, because it's really quite intuitive. You can follow along. You know if you're on color A, B, or C, and then you'll get a hang of what you're supposed to do with each one. So now I'm going to knit, wrap twice around the needle, and I'm down to my 1 last stitch, so I'm just going to knit it. Now at this point, you're going to turn and you're going to add your color B. Now just like any other time when you add, the first stitch is going to feel pretty loose. Don't worry too much about that. You're just going to kind of pull on the tails and tighten it up. When I first added my color B, which was pink down here, it seemed pretty precarious because it just was floating around. But a couple times I've just given a little tug, and then you get a row or 2 past it, and it's just fine. All right, so now we're on row 3. So color B, which for me is pink. Again, if you're following the written instructions, it tells you for row 3, using color B, you're going to knit 1, and then you're going to slip 1 with yarn in back, that WYIB, dropping the extra wrap. I'll show you what that looks like. In the instructions of the chart for the key, that symbol is almost like a little person with their arms raised in the air. And it tells you on the right side you're doing it, and you're slipping 1 with the yarn in back, dropping the extra wrap. So here we go. We're using color B. We're going to knit 1. Back to continental for now. And now see, here's my 2 wraps right there. All I'm going to do is I'm going to slip 1, and I'm slipping it purlwise because it's not saying anything else, but my yarn is in the back, my pink yarn. I'm keeping that on the wrong side of the work. I'm going to slip that, and I'm just letting that extra wrap off. And now we're going to knit 3. This is our repeat, and slip this one. There's my extra wrap. I'm just letting the whole thing off. So even though it looks like it's creating an extra stitch, it's not creating an extra stitch because we're dropping it off the next row. And that makes that elongated stitch. Knit 3, slip, dropping off the extra wrap. Knit 3, slip, dropping off the extra wrap. I'll switch over to English. It's the same idea. We're going to knit 3. And I'm going to slip this one, just dropping off that extra wrap, just like that. All the way across to the very end, and you'll just have one to knit after you drop off the last wrap. Excuse me. So the only time you end up with what looks like an extra stitch is on the row that you do the double wrap. 3, and now I'm dropping that off. Knit 3, slip that one, dropping it off. And my last one is knit 1. And that was row 3. Row 4, we're going to turn it. We're still using color B. Remember, we work up and back with the one color. And now we're going to purl. If you're using the chart, you'll notice that on the empty squares that don't have anything in them but a color, on the wrong side, that indicates to purl. It's because we have stockinette in between our garter ridges. These are garter ridges. So the cream color for me is the only one that I'm only knitting. There's no purling. But the other ones I'm knitting on the right side or slipping and purling on the wrong side. All right, so row 4, we're going to purl 1. And then what we're going to do is the little V on the chart, it says, means on the right side, you slip one with the yarn in back, and on the wrong side, you slip one with the yarn in front. Again, we just want to slip and carry our float on the wrong side of the work. So when I'm on the wrong side, I'm holding my yarn to the front, which is easy to do because I'm purling anyway, and so that's where the yarn is. And I'm just slipping, again, purlwise, that white stitch over, and now I'm going to continue purling. So I'll purl 3, and I keep my yarn to the front, and I let this one slip. Purl 3 and slip. So we're going to slip that for a couple of rows, and what that's going to do is elongate that stitch even a little further, and it makes that grid pattern on the front. Slip, and purl 3, and slip. So I will switch over to English style. So just like a normal purl, we're just going to purl 3. I've got our yarn in front, which is normal for purling. And now leaving my yarn in front, I'm just going to slip that one. And it's easy to know which one you're going to slip because it's a different color than your other stitches. So even if you're just kind of on autopilot, you'll realize when you get to that other color that you're not supposed to purl it. You just slip it. Purl. All right, to the end, then we'll be done with color B. And then we get to incorporate our third color, color C, which for me is a multicolored yarn. It's one of those Cascade Superwash Sport Waves. Mine has pinks and yellows and oranges in it. It's kind of fun. All right, slip 1, and then the last stitch, we'll just purl 1. All right, now we're going to turn back around. So we're now in row 5. And row 5 is color C. In the written instructions, it's telling you to, now this is where we're slipping an additional one to give this color a little more, to make it recede a little bit. So in row 5, color C, we're going to knit 1, and then we slip 2 with yarn in back. So you see that SL2 WYIB. I'm knitting anyway, so the yarn is already in the back, so I don't really have to think too much about it, but I'm just slipping both of these purlwise, so I'm not twisting anything or changing their order. I'm just slipping them purlwise. And now I'm going to knit 2 and slip 2 purlwise. And I'll do that all the way across. Knit 2, slip 2 purlwise, knit 2, slip 2 purlwise, all the way to the end. Except you're only going to slip one at the end. We'll see when I get there. If you're following the chart, you can see the same thing. That repeat is between the dark lines. Knit 2, slip 2 purlwise, slip 2 purlwise, knit 2, talking and reading and at the same time, and knitting. It can be challenging. Okay, knit 2, slip 2 purlwise. So now I'm down to the end here, so I'm going to go ahead and knit 2, but you'll see I only have one to slip, so I'm going to slip that one and knit the last one. And that's indicated in the written instructions as well. It just says slip 1 with the yarn in back and then knit 1. So that was row 5. Row 6, we're going to finish off using color C in this sequence. And we're going to purl. Again, on the chart, that's the empty box that has brown in it, and that indicates on the wrong side it's a purl stitch. And then we're going to slip 1 with the yarn in front, which it's already in front because I'm purling. But I want to keep, remember, I want to keep that float when I slip the stitch on the wrong side of the work. And now we're going to purl 2 and slip 2. So the ones that are the same color of the yarn I'm using are the ones I'm purling, and the ones that are a different color than the yarn I'm using currently are the ones I slip. That's why I said it makes it, I think, for this particular pattern, pretty easy to follow without having to look at the directions all the time. All you have to know is what's my sequence of color? Am I on A, B, or C? And then you are able to follow along with that. Easy to memorize. Uh-oh, it's getting stuck. There we go. Purl 2, slip 2 with the yarn in front. I'm going to switch to English for a couple of stitches here. I'm going to purl 2. A little awkward, but you get the idea. Purl 2. And now my yarn's already in front, so I don't have to do anything with it. I'm just slipping those 2 purlwise so I don't twist them or change their order. And then purl 2. And then you just have to pay attention when you get to the end of the row, what you do, if anything, different. And at the end here, we're just going to have 1 to purl. So you'll see that in a moment. Purl 2, slip 2 purlwise, and there's 1 left, and it's the color I'm currently using, so I'm going to purl it. So that is row 6. That is our 6-row repeat. If you want to know how many repeats you've done, you just know that every time you see one of these bars, the horizontal rows that are purled going across, that's a completed repeat. It begins the repeat. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've now completed 4 repeats. And let me get something and measure this real quick, and we'll see approximately how big 4 repeats was. Hold on a moment. Let me get a ruler. After 4 repeats, without blocking or pinning or anything, I'm at approximately a little over 2 inches. So it looks like every repeat is about 1 inch. So you're probably going to need to do approximately 36 repeats to get your 36 inches, or whatever size you're making your panels. I just use that as a guideline, so I don't have to keep measuring and measuring. I just know, okay, approximately 36. So when I get to 30-something repeats, I'm going to measure and see where I need to stop. So, as always, if you have any questions or problems, please let me know. You can always email me or come to Help Desk. I look forward to seeing you and seeing your projects. Have a great day. Bye-bye.